From the banks of Dewey Lake, it's the Dewey Pod Monster.
All right, welcome back. My name is John, and this is the Dewey Pod Monster podcast. This is your weekly podcast about consumption. We are proud members of the You Run Podcast Network. You can find all of our previous episodes, all of our upcoming episodes, and all of the other great shows on the You Run Podcast Network at yourunpodcast.com. With me this week is the host of the Dewey Pod Monster podcast, and his name is Sean. Sean, how the hell are you this evening?
John, I'm from about 80 miles north of Anchorage, a little fishing town called F*** Your Mama.
I mean, she's been dead for a little while now, but if that's what you're going for, more power to you, buddy. I wouldn't mind you being my friend and my father, I guess. Wait, that was fucking weird. Sean, what have you been watching this week?
All right. Okay,
so break Sean to start the episode. Let's see how this goes.
Yeah, let's see how this goes. So with the at the time of this recording, it's late April. I know this is going to be a very special episode. Should we just kind of say outright all the stuff that I watched except for the last thing? They kind of center around the theme that we're going to have here this month, right? So what's that theme going to be, John?
Well, this is another, much like surviving the game, another topic that we've been threatening since the genesis of this show. This month, we are kicking off a WresterMAYnia. So much like last month in our love or something to the affection for Gary Busey, this month we're shedding light on some of the movies that are technically considered movies that have starred, I'm not going to go as far to say all our favorite wrestlers, but some of them that we just felt like, I don't know. I think there's two wrestlers that are pretty like obvious ones, and there's two that are going to be a little bit more one that's going to be a little more off the beaten path. Very obvious wrestler, but very unknown movies. So with that in mind, what did you watch, Sean?
So just all that to lead up to what I've been watching. So at the time of this recording, it's the day after WrestleMania 41. So I watched Hell yeah, brother. On Peacock, they had a documentary. It's called WrestleMania 1X, Becoming a Spectacle. And this was the first WrestleMania that they recorded behind the scenes footage from. It was in Las Vegas. It was the first time they were in Las Vegas at Caesar's Palace. It was very much themed around being like a Roman Coliseum type event. It was outdoors. It was the first outdoor WrestleMania, the first real big outdoor event that WWE or WWF at the time, I'm not sure which one it was, the first one they had done. So
I think it was still WWF at the time.
I think so.
Because that was, Yokozuna was at that one, right? I remember him being
it was Yokozuna versus Bret Hart. Yeah. And they basically had a bunch of behind the scenes stuff. They filmed like how they set it up, how they basically the ramp up to it, announcing it at Las Vegas and having all the stars there. It had all the usual people you'd expect to see. It had, Yokozuna, had Bret Hart, had The Undertaker, had Hulk Hogan, Brutus Beefcake, Shawn Michaels, Mike Rotunda, aka IRS, and Ted DiBiase. All the backstage putting it together, the drama of Hulk Hogan returning. So Hulk Hogan at this time had left the WWE or WWF to do his acting career. He was kind of done with wrestling. And when they went to try and sell this in Las Vegas, they weren't selling a lot of tickets. And Hulk Hogan decided, after they had announced the main event, which was Bret Hart and Yokozuna, that he was going to come back. Like he decided, hey, I'm going to come back. He was just going to wrestle a tag team match. It was going to be him and Brutus Beefcake versus Ted DiBiase and IRS, Erwin R. Shyster. I think that was his last name, Shyster. IRS, whatever.
Sounds
Mike
right.
Rotunda. Yeah. And so Hulk Hogan kind of made it about himself because he's Hulk Hogan and that's what he does. And the event kind of centered when Hulk Hogan came out, he had a really gnarly like black eye where your eye is literally like the white of your eye is black from just all the blood. And the story, behind the scenes story, supposedly was that Macho Man
wait.
ended up.
He didn't take his vitamins and he didn't say his prayers and
he didn't do his training. Yeah.
Jesus thumped him.
I think the rumor was backstage that Macho Man found out that Miss Elizabeth was doing something untoward or possibly like staying with Hulk while they were having some, Macho Man and Elizabeth were having some marital problems. Hulk Hogan in this special says what had happened was that him and Brutus Beefcake, I keep wanting to say the barber, were jet skiing and Hulk like hit his face on the jet ski. He hit an errant wave or something and he hit his face, and that's what happened.
I want that video.
Yeah, I know. That's
Hulk Hogan on a jet ski breaking his face open.
I think he said something to the effect of like on the jet ski there was a button for the nose to go down, and he hit a wave and he pushed his button on accident. I don't know if I've never ridden on a jet ski. I don't know if that's a real thing or not. It just seems.
Now I'm picturing him hitting this button that's supposed to make something go down in a boxing glove, just like springing out like a Looney Tunes cartoon.
Like a Jack in the Box.
Yes.
So, yeah, that was entertaining.
You can't tell we're big Hulk Hogan fans on this podcast.
Oh, yeah. Hulk Hogan. He's my idol.
See our ultimate
like when I... Yeah.
Go back to our
All-American Beer or whatever.
And
yes. He's a
one.
really great guy.
Yeah.
Anyhow, on top of that, I watched Dark Side of the Ring, Tony Atlas. That's called Too Much Too Soon. And this one is, I know last week, I feel like it was last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, I was really like praising this season of Dark Side of the Ring. I've really enjoyed it so far. I personally cannot stand Tony Atlas. I think that he is just like, I don't know. There's just something uncares. He like sucks the life out of the room as to like, you know, people wanting to pay this person attention or whatever. It kind of explores how he gets not necessarily like they go into it a little bit. He doesn't necessarily get sexual satisfaction out of this, but his like obsession with feet and shoes. And there were several clips of him. He would like pay women he would go buy them shoes and then pay them to wear the shoe and not like step on his balls or, you know, get him off or whatever. And he didn't get off on this, but they would step on his face, like stand on his face in these shoes. And that he just like got excitement out of that for whatever reason. That's really all I got out of it, other than he made a bunch of money and he blew it because he would take people out to the bar after the shows. He was making like $2,500 per show at one point. And he kind of said something that was a little eye-opening. In all the different territories, he said essentially that like that each territory only had one black wrestler. And if you were a black wrestler and you went backstage and there was another one there, you knew that something was up. Like your job was pretty much on the line, you know, because they just it wasn't a big thing in wrestling at the time. It was a lot of white guys, old boy network kind of thing. Yeah. And so, yeah, I watched that. That wasn't not my favorite one. It was fine though. I mean, it's a Dark Side of the Ring. I think they're all pretty good. And this one was, again, not my favorite. And then because this weekend just passed, I watched a bunch of WrestleMania 41, mostly Saturday nights events. I didn't see a lot of Sunday night, but I watched all of Saturday. I felt like it was better than last year, but not necessarily great. Like it feels like WWE now without Vince and with Triple H kind of running the show. It's all about like selling product placement and showing celebrities that are ringside to show how big like WWE is. And I don't know, they get too many celebrities involved in the matches. I feel like I mean, I'm not hating on it. I know that some of the people that hate wrestling the most are wrestling fans. They really are very critical of wrestling. I don't really consider myself that big of a fan of the current era, but I'll watch it. I don't watch like the weekly events and stuff, but I thought it was interesting. I don't know how much of it you got a chance to watch.
I didn't watch a ton. I didn't watch any of Saturday, and I've heard that Saturday was by far the better day of the two. Mm. Basically, I tuned in after I finished a different thing because I was going to go to sleep like maybe around an hour after that. I was like, I didn't really want to start another movie or whatever. And I was like, yeah, let's see what's going on here. So I saw the end of the Logan Paul fight, and that just seemed weird and not entertaining. But I didn't see the whole thing. It just, for the like 3 minutes that I saw, I was like, God, I really don't fucking like Logan Paul. And that was kind of all I got out of it. I know you missed the tag team fight after that just because I was talking to you and you said you were running off to do something. Did you catch the main event or the Stone Cold stuff?
I saw the Stone Cold stuff and I saw that he hit the barricade and that woman fell over. But I didn't see anything really. I mean, I rewound it so, or whatever, to backed it up, I guess, whatever the kids call it these days, to watch that part over to see what, like, if I could figure out what actually happened to the lady, but that's all I saw of it.
My favorite part of the Stone Cold thing, because the whole Stone Cold thing just seemed really like, we need to give Stone Cold something to do, so go drive around with it, which, I mean, whatever. But what I liked about it is after he got done announcing the attendance, which I I personally did not give a shit about. I'm not sure anyone there did, other than to see him come out and like power chug 7 beers in like 10 seconds. What I liked is because he had ran into this barricade and knocked this, lady over. I really like that after he's still like mic'd up, or he's still on mic enough that you can hear him. And he goes over to her with the last beer that they threw up to him that he had already like shook up really good because he was going to, deep throat it or whatever. He gives it to her, but you hear him go, "That's about to explode, so don't touch it too much. Just make sure you hold on to it till it calms down real quick." And then he just walks away. I was like, you just ran into this woman. Well, you ran into the barricade, but I'm sure her lawsuit's going to say you ran into her with this ATV and you go give her a beer. Yeah, you go give her a beer and say, "No, don't touch it too much. It's going to explode." I thought that was pretty great.
And then on top of that, we, sorry, I didn't know if you had more.
No.
Didn't mean to cut you off.
Well, the only other thing I'll say, so are you going to watch the main event? Like, do you want me to hold off on talking about it?
I read about it and I feel like I got enough out of that.
The only thing I want to say with it, and again, I watch wrestling less than you do at this point in my life. So take this for what it's worth. The main event fucking sucked. Pat McAfee should not be on anything, period. But he's especially terrible as a wrestling commentator. He's trying to do like his morning talk show, but as a wrestling commentator, and it just sucked. And, it's John Cena versus Cody Rhodes, and I'm not really a fan of either of them, to be perfectly, at least as wrestlers. Like, I don't mind John Cena, the actor, but John Cena, the wrestler, just, I don't care. And Cody Rhodes, there's something about him that he's like the Captain America of WWE. And I don't know the storylines. I don't know if he's really like that, but that's the very outsider's point of view that I get. And maybe it's because he's always wearing red, white, and blue shit, but he's too fucking goody for me, I guess. But the second John Cena gets in the ring and takes his, t-shirt off, he looks, I don't know how old John Cena is, but he looks, by WWE standards, old as shit. Like, he's still built up, like, he'd still beat the fuck out of me. Like, I'm not trying to act like I look more in shape than him, but he looks like what you would expect a wrestler in his 50s to look like. That still kind of works out, but isn't like The Rock or whatever. And so much of this fight for the first like 10 minutes was just John Cena stepping out and standing there, and they're like, "Oh, he's just taking his time and wearing him muddy up the water." I'm like, this is a scripted wrestling match. What do you mean he's muddying up the waters? Like, fucking get in there and fight. And it just went on for a really long time, not being all that entertaining. They did a bunch of their finishing moves like repeatedly, and like you could tell, yeah, they're not going to end it on this. And then for some reason, Travis Scott shows up, and I don't know if there's a backstory to why Travis Scott is there and why he's holding some belt. I have no fucking clue, but there he was. He doesn't really do anything other than get like, I think he gets like punched by Cody Rhodes and falls down, and then John Cena kicks Cody Rhodes in the dick and pins him. I'm like, okay, well,
John Cena's 47.
Okay.
And Travis Scott is the one when Cena did his heel turn. He was I don't know what the circumstance was, but he ended up hitting Cody Rhodes. And that was like people speculated that Cody Rhodes, busted his eardrum, or I'm sorry, that Travis Scott busted his eardrum the way that he punched him in the ear. Okay. Well, I didn't know that. Honestly, I don't think Travis Scott showing up added anything to it, but whatever. For me, I thought it was, for a guy who hasn't watched much wrestling in the last 10, 15 years, like new wrestling matches, not talking about old matches, it was one of the most boring like main events that I've seen, and a really like that comes to mind. But whatever, doesn't matter. I'm sure they got the ratings and money and all that stuff. Yeah. I will say that the little bit that I watched, and maybe this is just me being like dramatically older than when I was into it as a kid, it felt way more scripted than what I remember watching as a kid. And even like watching, like, maybe the Hell in the Cell match is a bad example, but like watching some of the older matches with, all these guys like we're going to be talking about throughout the month, like the Stone Cold stuff, the, Warrior and Macho Man and all those types of guys, like, you always kind of knew like it was fake. And, I say fake for lack of better wording. I'm not trying to shit on the profession of wrestling. I'm just saying, it's scripted or whatever. This just looks far more choreographed, scripted. Like, I'm not trying to belittle what they do, because God knows I couldn't do it. If I tried to do any of that, I'd be on my back, like in the ring still, like 2 days later.
but it's more pageantry now than what I remember. And I don't know, it definitely didn't hook me this time around, but maybe I just need to give it more of a shot. I don't know. I could watch Raw on Netflix, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's my big complaint about it is when I started specifically watched WrestleMania a couple of years ago, I couldn't watch much of it because you can tell when the ref is talking to them, because the ref is basically the person that's in charge. And he's every time they're going and checking on this guy and going and checking on that guy, and they're basically telling them what the spots are going to be. And yeah, I'm with you. It seems, I don't know if it's like with the invention or whatever or adoption of HD and like better quality microphones.
I'm sure that doesn't help.
It doesn't help. Yeah. So you can almost pick up everything that's being said in the ring because it just sounds so much better. Like they can get so much closer to the match and everything. But yeah, so that's my watches for the weeks. We did get into something on Friday night. I don't know if you wanted, I'm kind of awaiting what you have to say about it. So I'll transition and let you speak about your experience that we had on Friday night. And I'm curious to hear how it went for you.
So on Friday, we went to, Sean will probably be able to, Sean, you could probably better describe what this event is than what I can, but we went to an event called Found Footage Festival, which this is probably like super English as a second language description, but I'm going to go for it anyway. So what I took from it, Found Footage Festival is a very well curated list of not found footage films like the horror subgenre, found footage as in VHS and home video gems that have somehow made their way to these couple guys' VCRs, and they're curating them together to essentially form a comedy show. It's kind of like America's Funniest Home Videos, but unrated and more eclectic, to put it nicely. I found it to be entertaining. I have no idea how this show is profitable because it looks like it's primarily just two guys with a DVD or two that they're probably switching out between every show and just playing different clips and commentating on them. But it was entertaining for what it was. They seem like relatable guys. I know that you found them through a YouTube channel, or I know of you introduced them to me through their YouTube channel. I'm assuming that's where you found them. I would assume that this actually might be a format that lends to YouTube a little bit better, just because you can pause it, you can stop it, you have a couch, you're not, dealing with troglodytes in a bar. That probably helps too. But for what it is, I mean, it's worth checking out if you like seeing oddities and weird stuff. And I don't mean like gory, cryptic oddities. I mean, just like people being weird and kind of like sweet and like disastrous all at the same time. It's good for that. We talked about, what was that Canadian dude that was like the jackass guy? What's that fucking documentary I watched? You said you had seen it too. The guy that was like jumping off his
Beauty Day.
Yeah. If you like videos like that, but like much shorter form, I feel like that's the kind of stuff like it taps into. Like some jackass gets a ladder and climbs up his tree and jumps off of it.
Jumps into his pool.
Or worse, whatever.
Yeah.
So
falls.
Yeah.
Next to the pool.
It's a lot of that type of stuff. But yeah, I had fun with it.
Yeah, I mean, you're pretty much spot on. It's two guys that I think they've amassed. I want to say it's the tape number of tapes always changes, but I want to say it's like 20,000 plus VHS tapes. And they've gone to thrift stores and whatever other places that you pick up VHS tapes. And yeah, they just compile it into a show. They've been doing it. It's 20 years now. Their YouTube channel, will leave it in the show notes, but that's primarily how I found it. Although I did see Found Footage Festival numbered, I want to say it was like 3 or 4. And it's just uncovering gems that they found or in the tape trading scene before the internet really. And they put together a curated list. They have an act that they go through. And like you, I don't know how it's profitable at all. We kind of talked about this on the way back from it. But yeah, I thought it was a good time. It's I think there was just about as many people as I expected to be there. I'd say the crowd was, what did we say? Like maybe 100 people? Maybe?
Right. I'd say probably closer to like 70, but 100 would be at most. So
yeah. And it was at Blind Pig in Ann Arbor, which is not a huge place, but it's a decent size. And it wasn't like full to the max or anything.
Definitely seems like the kind of thing that would play well in a city like Ann Arbor, like a small quirky type place, college type town. I can see why they picked Ann Arbor as opposed to, well, I guess they were doing Detroit the Hamtramck the next day. But
yeah,
I would think these little like art house type towns, I know I just used art house as a town term, but whatever. It seems like the type of thing that I could absolutely see having legs. Like I said, I just really wonder if, I mean, there's pictures of them that looks like they're in more of a theater that they were showing throughout, like here and there and scattered in there. But I really wonder, like, if you're in a theater, like how much of that theater is full, or are you just doing this because like the local church was like, we got nothing going on Tuesday, come on in, that type of thing. I don't, how big is their following on YouTube? Like how many roughly subscribers do they have?
At least like maybe 75,000.
Okay.
Like I said, they've been doing it for 20 years.
Yeah, that's pretty respectable. I mean, I guess the other side of that is too, is like how much of that is worth paying additional money to go see in person as opposed to watching it for free at home on YouTube. But no, like I said, I enjoyed it. I had fun. It was definitely worth going to. I'm still a little, my wife asked me, she goes, so what did you go see? I was like, I don't know.
I don't know how to explain this thing other than a couple guys with a DVD player.
Yeah, I told her that well, I'm not going to say, I don't want to repeat that on here. You've already heard it, but I don't want to be mean, so I won't.
Very, very sweet of you.
Yeah. I guess we're going a little long on this, but I'll go ahead and, do you want to hear what I watched still or any of that type of stuff?
Yeah, tell me.
I'll be a little briefer. Mine did not go, aside from what we already talked about, I didn't spend too much time with wrestling this week. I did find a pretty interesting docuseries on Paramount called Lola. It's the story of Lollapalooza. It's a 4-episode docuseries just about the entire run of Lollapalooza up to, I think it stopped at 2023 was the last year that they covered, or right about there. It's all about how it was born from, it might be them wanting to have Jane's Addictions, last tour, Perry What's-His-Face, the frontman, I keep forgetting, Perry Farrell, the brainchild or the brain trust behind all of it. It really focuses heavy on the first like 6 or 7 years, basically up until Metallica shows up. It focuses on those years first, and that kind of hits like a snag in the road. And the first like 3 episodes of the 4 is like all leading up to that, like the inception of it, the like rapid growth of it, some of the stuff that's pretty interesting and entertaining to watch, like the super early Rage Against the Machine shows, weird Butthole Surfer shows opening for bands like Susie and the Banshees. Like that's a fucking interesting lineup and stuff like that. There's not as much controversy with it as like, I think a lot of people would probably compare it to the Woodstock documentaries on HBO and Netflix. And I'd say it's just as good as far as being informative, but there's no really big like controversy with Lollapalooza. I mean, they say there's a couple things that like they might have fucked up with, but nothing like, with riots and burning down the fucking
sexual assaults,
shit like that. Yeah, none of
lighting shit on fire.
I'm sure that, after 20 some odd, 30 some odd years, I'm sure something like that's happened at a Lollapalooza, but that's not what they were talking about. It's not like it's a plot point. And then, the last like episode is primarily the, years since it's been back as a annual festival in Chicago, which admittedly is less interesting. Kind of the coolest part in that is they show some of the like smaller stages. And for me, I thought the coolest part was they showed Lady Gaga there the first year she was touring. And she's like, okay, she's not like a big person now, but she's all of like 90 pounds in this like first video. And like, she's up there in a bra and underwear with like a Casio keyboard, just making all this fucking racket in this little like side stage, which is cool. And then they cut to like 5 minutes later in the episode, they cut to her when she headlined it. And it's like this fucking spectacle of just Lady Gaga, all this shit. And say what you want about her, the woman knows how to put on a performance. Like I'll give her that. Like, I respect the hell out of her. She's not my kind of thing. I'm not really going to go listen to her all that much, but she's definitely earned the respect. I mean, I managed to binge through that in one night. I think it's about 4 hours long or so. That's why I did not watch any WrestleMania on Saturday. I started on this and kind of didn't feel like changing the channel, so I just stuck with that. So that was definitely worth watching. And then yesterday, I'm going to go ahead and credit and blame Sam for this because he was talking about it on Creature Features a month or so ago. I went back and rewatched the movie 10 to Midnight. Are you familiar with 10 to Midnight?
No, I don't think so.
What if I told you this is a cop drama starring Charles Bronson made by the Cannon Group?
I'm sold. You know my love of Charles Bronson. Let's do it.
And it opens pretty early. Basically, this is the short extreme clip. This is one that very well could get like its own episode. This is that kind of movie. And Sam, if you're listening, we'll bug you to come talk about it because I know you're a fan of this one too. You know you're in for a pretty entertaining movie where this movie is basically about Charles Bronson chasing around the serial killer for the whole movie. So it's a cat and mouse game for about an hour and a half or so, just them back and forth. And, the killer goes and kills a couple people and they're all cut up and stuff. Right here, this is like maybe 10 minutes into the movie. You know you're in for a good time. The mortician says something like, well, the girls were not sexually assaulted. And Bronson's like, I know. And they're like, how do you know that? Don't you want to ask any question? He goes, when a guy does something like this, his knife is his penis. Cut to the next scene. I was like, this is fucking great. And
is the mortician eating something? Is the coroner
not in that
something?
Scene?
Okay.
No, and they go back to him a couple times. I don't remember seeing food, but he is smoking weed once or twice in there. So I'm gonna count that towards our
that's quota. Something.
So
yeah.
I mean, it's just a gritty 80s cop movie with occasional ridiculousness in it. There's a really good interrogation which involves a sex toy. Save that for later. But it's fucking, for what it is, it's a pretty fun early 80s cop movie, and it's got Charles Bronson kicking the shit out of people when he has to. And the ending is one of those, again, I haven't seen this in quite a while. Even yesterday when I watched it, I got to the very end. I was like, holy shit, I forgot it was going to go there. So it's got that. So yeah, it's definitely worth revisiting, whether we talk about it on the show or not. For you especially, I strongly recommend this movie. But yeah, that's all I really got. Alley. Oh, it's 100%. Yeah, this is your alley by far. Like, absolutely one that you would get into. But that's all I got. So I think we've been going on about all this other stuff, wrestling and Charles Bronson and whatnot. I think it's time that we, kick off WrestleMania. It's been put off for too many years. I don't have anything else clever to say. So we're going to take a break and come back and talk about the movie The Condemned.
Hey folks, Sean here. Are you a horror fan? Get your fix with the LK the Horror Nerd podcast. Step into the world of spine-tingling thrills, chilling tales, and deep dives into everything horror with the LK the Horror Nerd podcast. Hosted by the incredible Lorelei Kerouac, this show offers a fresh, inclusive perspective on the genre we all know and love. Each episode is a unique mix of movie reviews, TV show breakdowns, book recommendations, video game critiques, and more. With insightful discussions, expert interviews, and a passionate take on horror news, LK the Horror Nerd brings the spooky straight to your ears. Whether you're into blood-curdling scares or thoughtful genre analysis, LK the Horror Nerd has something for you. You can check out LK and the other fine podcasts at yourunpodcast.com.
So, we are starting WrestleMania, and we started with the arguably most well-known wrestler in the history of wrestling, other than maybe Hulk Hogan, maybe more well-known, depending on how old you are. We're talking about the movie The Condemned. Our third-party review this week comes from someone who refuses to name themselves, so I'm kind of disappointed by that. And this person says, The Condemned set out to be exactly what it was, and it achieved being what it is. And for what it was amazing for. It was perfect. 5 stars out of 5. I don't know if you get better writing than that anywhere. Certainly not in this script. Sean, tell us about The Condemned.
Okay, so for that, we go over to IMDb, we type in the words The Condemned, and we find the 2007 movie that was rated R that was an hour and 53 minutes long.
For the record, I was not happy when I realized this was an hour and 53 minutes long.
I figured you probably wouldn't be happy about that. But anyways, this gets a 6.0 out of 10 with 55,000 ratings. It is not ranked. This is not a popular movie, at least not currently. And we go to the storyline and the plot. We never know which one is which, but we figure they wouldn't put it on top if they didn't want it read first. So it says, Jack Conrad is awaiting the death penalty in a corrupt Central American prison. He is, quote unquote, purchased by a wealthy television producer and taken to a desolate island where he must fight to the death against 9 other condemned killers from all corners of the world, with freedom going to the sole survivor. If we scroll on down to the storyline, it says, and this one's care of Outlaw 97, it says, the story of Jack Conrad, who is awaiting the death penalty in a corrupt Central American prison. He is purchased by a wealthy television producer and taken to desolate island where he must fight to the death against 9 other condemned killers from around all corners of the world, and freedom going to the sole survivor. So it sounds like the exact same thing. So maybe Outlaw 97 wrote the storyline of the plot, whichever one came first, but they are the same. Yeah.
So Sean, before we get into it, who's in this movie?
Yeah. So for that, we check out the cast list. This one stars Stone Cold Steve Austin as Conrad. You may know him as the WWE superstar Austin 316. That's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so. What? And then we have Vinnie Jones, who plays McStarley. He has been in Snatch, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, Midnight Meat Train, X-Men The Last Stand as the Juggernaut. And then we got Nathan Jones.
Other things.
Yeah, he's got like 150 some credits to his name, and he only started acting in like the mid-90s.
The tall British guy that's often used as a tough, even though I don't think he's very tough.
I think you're right. Then we have Nathan Jones, not related. He plays Peter. He was in Mad Max Fury Road and in Furiosa. He is Rictus Erectus. He was also in 2021's Mortal Kombat. And then we have Rick Hoffman, who plays Goldie Goldman. He was in Thanksgiving, Suits, and a lot of TV shit. And then I don't think there's too many other people that are super recognizable. At least I didn't recognize him. You might recognize him if you watch this movie, but I didn't recognize him, so I'm not talking about him.
The only 3 I recognized were obviously Stone Cold and Vinnie Jones, and then Rick Hoffman. And I spent the whole movie like, why the fuck do I know this guy? Like I couldn't put it together, but was having one of those like I refuse to look it up moments for whatever reason. And then I looked it up today. I was like, oh, Thanksgiving. That's right. That's where I know him from.
I saw him and I'm like, I know this guy, but what do I know him from? And I think Thanksgiving is the most recent thing that I've seen him in.
Let's go with some positives on this. This movie is an hour and 53 minutes long. It's bound to have something that happened in it, I guess. Sean, was there anything in this movie that you found to be positive?
Well, let me just start real quick, just kind of get the actual story, because I know we got our storyline and our plot, but basically it is about 10 death row prisoners who get recruited or purchased, I guess, to be on this game. It's like a game show, essentially, but it's all broadcast on the internet.
Think Battle Royale, but with, on the internet with prisoners instead of, it feels like it's a mix of Battle Royale and Running Man, but quite frankly, not as entertaining as either of those.
And then there's this whole second side story where it's about the FBI who are trying to break this whole thing up and trying to rescue Jack Conrad, Stone Cold, because he is like, he's not really Jack Conrad. His name is some other thing because he was undercover and they burned him or whatever to
Bill Bubba or whatever.
I think when this came out in 2007 or whatever, this kind of thing streaming over the internet would probably be like a novel idea. They're charging $50 a person. It's like a pay-per-view for people to watch this. And there's an unscrupulous TV producer who's trying to make money off of it. I think these days it almost kind of feels believable. And the whole story feels to me, like you said, like Battle Royale mixed with like Fortnite or PUBG or one of those kind of games where it's like everybody's fighting. They do these drops and whatever to pick up new weapons and things like that.
I say the Running Man because supposedly they're fighting for their freedom, which is kind of the thing. It's not an original story. It's basically like the WWE slapped some paint on the same like fight to the death story that it's not quite a surviving the game fight to the death type story. It's more orchestrated than that, but it's essentially another humans hunting humans type thing.
Yeah, so did we get to the likes? I think for me, one of my first I think Stone Cold as even like a character, an actor, whatever you want to call him, he's just really charismatic. He like really makes you want to, he draws you in. It's somebody that you kind of want to watch and see what he does. I think they really introduce him very well at the beginning, like this no nonsense, like doesn't give a shit kind of character. He's in this I don't know, El Salvadorian prison or somewhere in Central America or South America. And they put him in this like cage essentially with this other big guy who they want to have as the contestant. So Steve Austin is supposed to be like the fodder for this guy to kind of show for this other prisoner to show his stuff. And Stone Cold knocks him out with like 2 punches, and he just kind of turns around. He's like, "Can I go now? You know, can I get out of here?" And I laughed at that. So I like the introduction of Stone Cold, and I like the way that they use him in this movie. He doesn't do anything that Stone Cold can't do, like the actor even. Steve Austin, they don't make him do anything he can't do. He shows up.
Aside from run.
Yeah. He says one-liners. He does stunt choreography, and he's like makes his way off the screen. You know, that's kind of what he does. He looks like, makes a goofy face, not a goofy face, but he makes his like signature face into the camera. And that's pretty much what he does. So I think that they really utilize him well in this movie. Like they don't, like I said, they don't make him do anything he can't do.
So for me, I like that the title screen opens with Lionsgate and WWE present. And then the next screen, the very next fucking screen is a WWE and Lionsgate production. I was like, why did they flip it? Why didn't they just leave it as the fucking same? So that right there was kind of the high point of this movie for me, just because it was so dumb. And I do like that, as we mentioned, they don't make Stone Cold do a lot of things that he can't do. I'll agree with you on that. And I will say that he is by far the only redeeming thing in this fucking movie. I agree with you. He's charismatic. He's someone that you're kind of glued to. You want to see what he's going to do. He's all those things and whatnot. I really like that they make him run short distances because he kind of runs like a toddler with a load in his diapers, which makes me laugh, especially when he's carrying like, yeah, well, he's a big guy. He probably needs to kind of like cowl together him up somehow. Yeah. So I agree with you that I think I don't want to get into negatives. Well, it's going to happen pretty quick. I think for whatever reason, why they told him to play this so like stoic almost, I don't fucking understand, because there's little moments where I'm going to separate his two personas. One's going to be Stone Cold, which is Stone Cold the wrestler that's all beer swilling, running into guardrails with an ATV and giving a lady an exploding beer. There's that Stone Cold. And then there's Steve Austin, who's like, it's almost like he's trying to lean into like a dramatic side on this for some reason. And I'm sure that was either directed or an acting coach or something telling him to do that. And he's not bad at it per se, but I'm going to loop this into what I don't like about this movie. This movie goes to a spot that is just not fun in so many ways. And it doesn't help in any way either. And that's what I don't like about it. It's not necessarily his like fault, but the movie makes some decisions in it that take this stupid premise and forces you to like kind of just not have fun with it, while also trying to like lecture you about how fucked up what they're attempting to do in this movie is. And it's almost like they're shitting on the audience for potentially enjoying what they're watching. And that shit gets old. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, the movie is I missed a joke that I was thinking of while you were talking about the diaper and using two. And I was going to say something like, it's like when you go to Kroger and you have to double up your grocery bag, like your plastic bag, because you don't want the thing to poke through. So I'm thinking like,
exactly, he
has these tremendously sharp shits that could possibly go through the first bag. So you got to double them up. Anyways, like it is extremely, I will 100% agree with you. This movie is extremely ham-fisted with like the social commentary that they want to give you about how like the media is bad and they're making the frogs gay and, you know, just whatever, how, you know, this is such a bad thing. I can't believe people are watching it. But at the same time, while Stone Cold is his people back home that actually know who he is are like rooting for him, they're watching it just like everybody else is. You know what I mean? They need to watch it to get updates about this guy. And they're like, when he does good stuff, they cheer for him. Yeah, go Jack. But when Jack, like they think, you know, somebody gets killed or whatever, then they're weeping. And it's like, well, don't you think that all the people that are watching this that know one of these guys, you know, because the thing with the TV producer is he wants to get this very diverse cast of all these different prisoners and whatnot, but he doesn't want to do it because it's for like he needs diversity. He wants to do it because he thinks that it's going to bring in people from the regions that these people are in. So if we got like an Arab guy and we got a Mexican guy but we got another Guatemalan guy, then we're going to, we need to spread that out. We can't have two people from, somebody that's like from Mexico and from Guatemala, because those places are totally close to each other and none of those people are going to watch. It's just this very ham-fisted attempt at trying to like make you feel dirty for watching it, but meanwhile all the people that are watching it are just like, yeah, it's like the best thing they've ever watched.
Keep in mind, this is also coming from the people that make the WWE or whichever it was. I think it's WWE at this time.
It's
so you're also
WWE.
talking about you're talking about a company that, and again, I'm not saying this is wrong, but they make their living glorifying violence. That's what the WWE is at its most boiled down level. And I'm not saying that's bad. Like, it's fine. Like, we sing the praises of WWE more than we probably should. But it rings kind of uninspired when, again, the same company that made Stone Cold Austin, beat the shit out of his boss with a urinal pan, have him also go do this like backhanded, like preachy pee for police. Like, this is inhumane type fucking story. What the fuck is that? And the thing that pisses me off about it is, you have the right actor, you have the right wrestler to put in there. You could have turned this. There's two things that piss me off about it, but where I'm going with the first point, you could have very easily turned this into, for lack of better wording, Commando meets Running Man, just with Stone Cold instead of Arnold. If you had made him be more, there's a couple moments where he has a little bit of like, I'm going to whoop your ass and that type of thing. Like, there's one or two of those in the movie, but if he was doing that throughout the whole movie, if this was just like a 2000s version of an 80s, like, here's Stone Cold and he's with a bunch of other bad dudes and he's going to kick the shit out of them, but he's dropping one-liners and it's ridiculous from start to finish. The bad guy could have been the same bad guy with the same stupid, like, you got to have an Arab, you got to have a Chilean, all that shit. That could have been fine. Because Stone Cold's going to show up and he's like, Conrad Jenkins said, I just whooped your ass. And that would have been the end of it. No problem. The other thing that is in this movie that really kind of pushes it to another fucked up place is they feel they need to include two women specifically for sexual reasons. And of course, what happens is, they start trying to rape them. Like, instantly, one of them does get raped. It's off camera, but you hear the whole thing. And it's like, you watch this, and again, I've always said, like, there's no reason to have like a rape scene in a movie. Like, I don't think it's necessary, but in this movie especially, and I get what their point of this was, they're trying to get as many eyes on this as whatever bullshit thing they're saying for their like plot. But in this movie especially, like, just leave that out. Just have it be a bunch of like fucked up dudes running around trying to like murder each other. And no, that complaint's just gone. You don't have that awkwardness. You don't have that like extra layer of like, I feel dirty watching this, like, in a bad way. You could have just had it be, like I said, a testosterone fuel, puberty jump starting, Stone Cold's whooping everyone's ass and running around the jungle or wherever the fuck they are doing this. But they had to put these undertones in it that are become overtones. It just kind of makes the movie not fun and a fucking slog to get through. And then let's go ahead. I've been ranting here for a minute, but I'm going to go ahead and finish my rant, and then I'll let you say whatever you want to say.
Thank you.
To top all this off, let's just have Vinnie Jones come out of fucking nowhere chewing scenery. Vinnie Jones is in the wrong fucking movie in this. Like, Vinnie Jones, everyone else is this like depraved, depressing, like ogring, dipshit, murdering, rapist, whatever. Then here's Vinnie Jones, who is basically like a bad guy from like a Cheech and Chong movie, but like all jacked up and getting guns and arrows and shit, just being utterly fucking ridiculous. It's like, why is he the only one who's going like Looney Tunes in this, where everyone else is, for the most part, playing this like serious? I don't fucking get it. I fucking hate this movie.
Really? I couldn't tell. Well, I'm gonna tip the balance a little bit. I'm going to mention another thing. I have a couple things that I actually like about this movie. I love that when these guys, the thing is like the way that they control these guys are these like ankle bracelets or whatever that are armed with a C4. I love that they explain
that.
Yeah, that the C4, and it has a pull tab on it. And if you pull the tab on it, they have like 10 seconds before it explodes. And every time someone gets dispatched in this movie, it is by explosion. it's great because the explosions are these huge explosions that are just like some little guy laying on the beach like, oh no, my ankle bracelet, and kaboom, like the whole thing just explodes, or they'll explode like in a house or falling off a cliff or whatever. So they have that added bonus of all that explosions. And I gotta laugh when Stone Cold, his girlfriend back home, doesn't know that he's like where he is. He just like, hey, I'm gonna go out and get some cigarettes, and he never comes back because he was doing this like Black Ops mission. And she finds out via some FBI agent or whatever that Jack is on this thing. So she goes to her job, her bar job, her waitress job, and asks the guy, hey, you have a computer, right? You have high speed? And he's like, yeah, sure. She says, can I use it? And she puts in the website in the search bar. So if you went to Google and instead of in the address bar, you type in the website you want to go to, you type in google.com. And then in the search bar, you type in www.the_condemned.com. I thought she was like going to search for a file name or something. And she searches for the website via Google and then goes to it. I love that kind of, that's like what my in-laws would do. You know, they're like, oh, go to the Google, There's a
lot of people that do that. I think one of the smartest things that Google has ever done for people like you or me is they just made the search bar and the address bar the same fucking thing in Chrome.
Yeah. And well, all the browsers have done that for quite a long time. But I think
I hardly use anything other than Chrome, except Anyways.
So what mail client do you use? Anyways, on top of that, like the ghillie suit camera guy and the other one, the protector, who can't do any protecting because they see their untimely demise. But the other thing, like on the dislike side, so they have these ankle bracelets. They have GPS on them that can clearly be thwarted by a piece of metal and like electrical tape or duct tape or whatever. That's like the saddest GPS ever.
I don't like being tracked.
They can't control these guys because they can't remotely set these bombs off. Like, one of the main plot points in this movie is that Stone Cold figures out a way to get into the camp where they're doing the production. And they couldn't set up any cameras because they didn't expect any of the prisoners to come into that area. And Stone Cold is prowling around with his GPS turned off. And he makes a phone call to his girlfriend to tell her supposedly like where some money is, but he never actually gets around to telling her. And if they just had some kind of,
doesn't want it.
Well, that's true, but he was going to give it to her anyways. And then all the power gets cut out. Yeah, cut out. Like, if they had a way to remotely detonate these things, if they just lost somebody in GPS, it'd be like, yeah, fuck that guy. Boom. See ya. You know, I don't know. I thought that was that was a negative. Another negative for me also is this is like a total product of 2007. There is quick cuts. There are like the camera's like shaking all over the place. You can't tell half the time who is who in these action scenes because it's just like, I don't know. I'm trying to come up with a nice way to say it. It's just like the camera guy had a stroke and he's just like, oh, and he's just falling all over the place with the camera, and they cut that together to make a scene. It's kind of like the Michael Bay problem of Transformers, where everything just looks like a blurry mess because there's so many like moving parts and shit, and it's just all got blur on top of it. And this really suffers from that. There's not to say that filmmaking and action movies aren't like that now, but I feel like they're at least a little bit more balanced in the way that they portray action. Whereas this one's it's just a fucking swing fest. Like, you can't focus on anything because everything's moving all the time.
Yeah, the camera work isn't the best. I will say it also does the very mid 2000s thing where everything has this weird like blue overtone, so it kind of drowns out all the color on a lot of stuff, even the things that should counter that, like things that are red or green or whatever. They just look very like drab, even though they're on like
I thought everything looked brown.
Yeah, kind of brown, sepia tone. It's like they just put a filter on and said, it's good enough. But that's
probably what they did do.
Yeah, but that to me, like, considering every other thing in this movie, that's like such a small gripe for me in this one that I was like, I want to be like, that looks stupid, but I'm pissed off at everything else, so I'm not going to even. And then let's, like you said, this is an hour and 53 fucking minutes long. This is a 2-hour movie for all intents and purposes. Like, why? Why is it shit? Half these guys that they put 10 people on this island to supposedly fight for their freedom, and like 2 of them are dead before they even like all get on the ground. So why is this a 2-hour fucking movie? Like, you got all these people blowing up, and we can't get rid of like 5 of these people at once.
Yeah, I think the premise of the movie is really disingenuous. Like it undersells what the actual movie is about, or maybe oversells this whole like prisoner thing. Because, like you said, a lot of these guys are dead so early after they get dropped out of the helicopter onto the ground or in the water or whatever. And
some of them
they
instantly.
And they spend so much time with this TV producer side kind of thing, media bad, bread good, media bad, and then the FBI side story, then the girlfriend. There's like 4 different stories going on at the same time. Whereas the FBI story just kind of falls away after a while. Like they just kind of forget that it's there. And
it comes back in like the last 5 minutes of the movie to be like, oh yeah, we found the island. We're going to go get him, I guess.
Yeah. Hey, we got to give you a ride. We found this guy walking on the side of the road here. This is where you live, right?
Yeah. Hola, Butthorn. You want to get in the plane?
Let's do it. That's the bottom line.
What else is there? Let's see. I mean, my notes are pretty short on this. Like, I literally have a note, 3 bullet points in that says, this sucks.
I have something. I don't think they realize in this movie that there's a certain thing that you can do with a gun. And what you can do with a gun is you can hit things at long distance. You don't have to hit everything you don't have to get in front of somebody like in their face and then shoot them. And no one has figured that out in this movie. Like everything, whenever a gun is shot, if it's shot at a distance, they can't hit anything. So the only way they can hit anything is if they're just right up in someone's face, like point blank. And there are several times like Vinnie Jones unloads this shotgun into a rock. Like he just keeps shooting the top of this rock that Stonehold is like cowering behind or laying behind. He just keeps going for it. And then he like reloads and he does it more. It's like, that you could just like maybe walk around and flank them or whatever you wanted to do. Or it's
also a shotgun.
Parts.
You don't need to aim all that much with a fucking shotgun. Like,
well, just, I don't know, take 3 steps to the left and you could shoot one more time and probably hit them with it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of questionable things about it. And I mean, we didn't even like touch into the over the top stereotypes of like everyone in this, like the 2 women that are in this, like aside from the fact that they're in this really just to be like raped, they are like, oh, she's a black chick and she's got great hooters. Or he says it even worse than I just did. The Asian guy is very obviously like, well, he's Asian. He must be Bruce Lee in some form. Everyone is just like a really, really over the top stereotype. But again, if you're going to do that, like find a way to do that and make it fun. And this doesn't make it fun. Like you can poke fun at stereotypes in movies and kind of laugh at them. This just makes you feel like, fuck, here we go. It feels like this was written by Vince McMahon in 2007. I mean, that's about it.
Much different than No Holds Barred that was written by Vince McMahon in 1988.
Yes, that is
He's
true.
evolved quite a bit,
He's moved to a more violent drug than cocaine, apparently.
I mean, this is an hour and 53 minutes. We've already said it a couple times. I didn't feel like the movie moved that slowly. Like I said, I felt like they could have taken out one of the elements of this story, either the girlfriend, the FBI, maybe both. And they should have made the movie more about this actual like competition or this event for these guys to kill each other. Essentially, like that's what they sold the movie on. And that's not really what the movie's about. It's just kind of like the backstory on all the social commentary that they're trying to lay on you.
Well, and the blueprint's there. Again, I know Hunger Games isn't out yet at this point, but The Running Man is definitely around. Battle Royale is around, and I'm sure there's other ones that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head. The blueprint is there on how to make this kind of movie and make it entertaining. And you can still make it pretty dark and fucked up and still be entertaining. This just fails at that. So I don't have a whole lot to add with it. I feel like I've just been ranting the whole time. So if you want to fire up the grill, we can move on and I'll swear one more time and we'll see what happens. So
then you're in for a big treat, bro, because it's hot dog time.
So to no surprise to anyone, I'm going to go ahead and start us and say, I'm not giving this movie any hot dogs. I'm taking a bite of the hot dog and spinning it out because it's the hot dog from the theater that Kramer owns. It's a weird texture. It is not a perfectly sane food to eat. I like Stone Cold. I do not like Vinnie Jones. I really don't like anything in this movie other than Stone Cold. And this is, with the exception of violent nature, quite possibly the worst fucking movie we've watched for this entire show thus far. I would rather watch Black Devil Doll from Hell and Fat Guy Goes Nuts like back to back 5 times in a row each than watch this again. So I don't fucking like it.
I don't like it.
Whose hot dog is that yours?
I'm going to give it half a hot dog. I felt like what what I was expecting. I had extremely low expectations. I had like under the bottom of the barrel expectations of this movie because it's a WWE film and it shows. And, just like most of the time, I think I actually tried to watch this a year or two ago because I was like, oh, this might be pretty good. And I didn't get very far into it. I don't know why that was. Maybe I started it too late, whatever. But this one, I think my major complaints are how ham-fisted all of the social commentary is about how bad the media is and whatever. And then they turn around and they show how all these people are cheering for it at the same time as they're denouncing how horrible it is. But when their guy is the one that's coming out on top, they're like ecstatic about it. It's a WWE film, right? I mean, I feel like Stone Cold, they utilize him well. Like I said, they don't make him do anything he can't do. He runs in, he does fight choreography, he delivers convincing one-liners, and then he leaves. And then they fill the rest of the movie with other shit, that doesn't pertain to any of it. They leave the acting, quote unquote, to the people that are actually actors. The 4 other people we mentioned. And Vinnie Jones isn't really much of an actor, but he is an actor. So they leave all that shit to those people. Is it a good movie? No, not really. I thought it was somewhat entertaining. I didn't really check how much time was left. I didn't feel like it was really crawling. I'm sure if I would have hated it as much as you did, like while I was watching it, that's for sure. Like, please, how long is left of this? But I feel like it could have been.
I did watch checks at the 25-minute point in, 45 minutes in, 1:15 in, and then an hour and a half in, because I got a phone call an hour and a half in. I was like, can I please get off the phone so I can finish this piece of shit movie? That was it.
I know how that goes.
Yeah.
I watched a movie for something we were supposed to talk about that we didn't talk about, and I had that same experience. Wasn't this one. But yeah, I checked there was about like 30 minutes left, and I was like, oh, well, this is moving quite a bit faster than I expected. Like, I just thought it was going to keep going and going and going when I knew it was almost 2 hours long, much like this summary that I'm giving. I would just say that I give it half a hot dog. It's not something that I think I'll go back and watch ever, but I feel like if you're like a real big Stone Cold fan, it's not too bad. I feel like also for the WWE films, this is probably one of the better ones. It's rated a lot higher than most of them. So if you hated this one, I can only imagine what the rest will hold for us. But I do think that all the shit that you hate about this movie and the things like the rape and the sexual assault and just the depravity of it, I think we're in for more of that if we watch more stuff that's WWE film oriented. I just have a feeling that's what we're going to be seeing a lot of, because they don't really treat women too well in the olden days anyways. So I don't know.
Well, I think this is the only WWE film, like the only WWE official film or whatever that's on the docket for WrestleMania, unless there's a 5th Tuesday in May that we haven't paid attention to. Then who knows what the fuck will happen.
You never know.
Yeah.
Could get lucky.
Or cursed. We'll see. So, question of the week. Our question this week is about Stone Cold Steve Austin, because he's the star of this piece of shit movie. And the question is, Stone Cold plus one action legend equals unstoppable. Who is your pick for the ultimate tag team action movie duo? And so obviously half of it has to be Stone Cold. You're just picking his tag team part. So we're going to start over on Blue Sky with our friends at Podcast in the Woods. And Boomer says, it may be an easy answer, but I have to go with Jackie Chan. It's a good change of pace and a combination of strength and speed, brute force and acrobatics. And when Austin gets fed up with Jackie being a nice guy, it would be great to see a good brawl between the two of them after them fighting everyone else. He's kind of in the same ballpark of where I'm going. I have a little bit different take on it when we get to that, but I would not be opposed to seeing a maybe 15-year younger Jackie Chan and Steve Austin buddy movie of some sort. Thoughts?
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
No. Over on Instagram, our friend Sam, as mentioned earlier, friends over at Feature Creatures DTF says Jean-Claude Van Damme. You know what? Why not? And then our friend, that's right, Muscles from Brussels and the Texas Rattlesnake. Why not? And then our friend Justin over at Pop Culture Reflections podcast says Stone Cold and Dolph Lundgren, and I could see that too. That's more two sames to me than two different. I can't think of a perfect, like, well, let me ask Sean, do you have an answer for this one?
I mean, I would say like Arnold Schwarzenegger, then we could have a Tango and Cash. But also I could see Rowdy Roddy Piper.
That'd be interesting. So for me, I feel like for whatever reason, I'm seeing this as like a buddy cop type thing. I feel like he needs his Murtaugh to his, like he would be the Riggs and he needs his Murtaugh to him, like the old grumpy type companion. I don't know who, I mean, I guess I could just say Danny Glover and like take the cop out route for it, but I don't know if that's the way I would go. Carl Weathers though, maybe like, you know, not dead and like 5 years younger. I could see that being pretty fun because I could see him being grumpy and like having that range and playing off of Steve Austin pretty well and being enough to kind of stand up to him when they do come to blows too. So the Jackie Chan one kind of plays into that a little bit, but I feel like that would be more silly where I feel like you could get more of like a gritty. I think I just want a bad buddy cop movie between watching 10 to Midnight and Bulletproof a week ago. I just want some like schlocky action shit. And I feel like that's how I would get it.
I could totally see Carl Weathers because he could be like the comedic relief. He doesn't take himself too seriously in almost any role. Like when we watched Action Jackson, yeah, that's his like serious action film cop movie. I guess he's in Predator too, or Predator as well. But he doesn't, it's like that's played for a lot of laughs. It's like not played too seriously, you know? And I feel like Stone Cold could do the maybe more of the straight man and Carl Weathers could be the comedic relief in that, like, you got to have two big muscly dudes being cop buds and beating people up. And, you know, one guy's holding them by the shoulders and the other guy's punching them in the stomach. That just, I could imagine those two guys doing that. And then you could get that awesome, like, Predator bro handshake where they get the big, you know, the two arms locking together. Yeah.
We haven't seen this since 1987. We need to see it again and not in gift form, I guess. So let's go dig up Carl Weathers and make this movie. You got anything else you want to add before I get us canceled talking about digging up Carl Weathers?
No, I have nothing to do with that.
All right. Well, so that's all we got for this week. So we will be back next week as WrestleMania continues. In the meantime, if you'd like to check out
WrestleMania. Sorry.
In the meantime, this has been a goofy episode. If you would like to check out any of our previous podcast episodes, you can go to our YouTube channel. You can go to Spotify. You can go anywhere where you find our podcast. We're on all those spots. You can go to yourunpodcast.com. We are part of the You Run Podcast Network. You can check out our shows or any of the other great shows there. Or, of course, you can go to our site, which is crap.town. All of our stuff is there, too. You can also leave us feedback on there. If you would like to reach out to us and send us feedback, maybe not through our website or not through Spotify, we are on social media at Dewey Podmonster. In the case of Blue Sky, at crap.town. You want to send a message, you'll probably get me. You want to call me a jerk, tell me that Carl Weathers can kick my ass even though he's dead. I'm in agreement with you. That's the place to do it. Give us a follow. Tell us what's going on. And if you have some time, leave us a like, leave us a review on this, rate the episode. That always helps us get this in other people's ears. And that's where we want to be, nestled up right in your ears. Sean, what am I forgetting?
I was going to add, if you want your question of the week answer read on this show, you can do so by answering the question of the week. That's probably the best way to do it. And we are on all the social media sites that John mentioned at Dewey Podmonster. You could have your answer read just like the fine folks that answers were read, albeit poorly, just a few minutes ago. If you want to check out anything we talked about on the show, it's in the show notes. That's what we do. We put them in the show notes. Most of those links are free. Some of those links, unfortunately, cannot be found for free. They usually say Amazon and little brackets next to them. If you click those links, if you use them, those are affiliate links. We get a small kickback on anything you purchase through those links. That's a really good way to support the show. And if you want to follow me on social media, I'm on Blue Sky. I am at internalbleeding.crap.town. I had to think about it. That's where you can find me. I post little silly clips of some of the shit that we talk about here on this show. Sometimes just random stuff that I find that I'm watching while I'm watching it. And that's the way that you can interact with me on social network, on social media.
So that's it. That's all we got for this week. We will be back next week. We'll go round 2 in the squared circle, and we'll be talking about a different movie, a better movie. It shouldn't take much. Until then, swell up, Butthorn. We'll talk to you next week.
Swill up. Blah, blah, blah.
When a man does this, his knife is his penis. I'm going to start this over because I did read that right the first time, and I just think it's badly. Are you just laughing at me, or are you laughing at the sentence?
A little of both. A little of both. You're like, what the fuck is wrong? I'm just going to read this again.